We are going to get ahead of the narrative of what's to come before you hear it tomorrow. Right now on KCMO Talk Radio, it is always great to be here, kicking off April, and we don't do any April Fool's nonsense, okay? So don't pull any funny stuff on me in there, Mark. Don't even try. We are not doing any April Fools. It's the dumbest thing that people try to do, especially in our business on a day like today. There's just too much. I mean, listen, I'm all about a good time, make people laugh, but my gosh, there's too much going on. And nowadays, you don't know if the news cycle is made up or not because it's so bizarre. It's so out there in left field. But anyway, we've got special elections today. And there will be narratives that come out of these special elections that we are going to predict right now to get it rolling on this show. There are three nationally that are getting a lot of attention. And there are two special elections that are happening in Florida today. And then there's a Wisconsin Supreme Court election happening today as well. There are some minor local things happening we'll get to here in the Kansas City area. But the big ones that'll get all the attention are the two special elections in Florida and the one in Wisconsin. So in Florida, you've got the 6th Congressional District. That was recently occupied by Michael Waltz. He resigned to serve as Donald Trump's national security advisor. Now, he won last fall by 33 points in this seat. It includes Daytona Beach, Deep Red District down there in Florida. Then you've also got in Florida's 1st Congressional District, the old Matt Gaetz seat. Remember, Matt Gaetz was going to be the attorney general for like 5 minutes, and then all the nonsense came out, and Trump's like, yeah, we're not doing that. So Pam Bondi's in there. Good on her, but that seat is now open. That's also a Republican plus 30 seat. Gaetz won it very comfortably. Democrats have poured in millions and millions of dollars into both of those races. I don't believe deep down they think they're going to win. But here's the purpose of that. The purpose of that is to basically create a race that if it was 33 points back in the fall, even if it's 15 today, Democrats can come out and say, man, look at, oh, boy, people are turning on the Donald Trump agenda. Deep red districts that they won by 30-plus points, they are now only winning by 10 or 15 points. Look at us. Look at the way the game is changing. People are fed up with Trump. They're fed up with Elon, and they are ready for change. Yeah, okay. Sure thing, guys. So the party that's out of power always has more motivation in a special election that most people are not thinking about. When that same party spends millions of dollars more than their opponents, they're especially more likely to get a good turnout. Those things are absolutely going to happen today. Republicans should win both of these seats. It is also critical that they do. They only have 218 Republicans in the House of Representatives right now. This would get them up to about 220 out of 435. I think it's 218 to 213 right now, Republican to Democrat. So it's a very, very slim, almost the slimmest of majorities that you could possibly have. So this gets them back to have a little bit of wiggle room, not a lot, but a little bit, which is where you would want to be. But you will hear a narrative come tomorrow morning, maybe later tonight, that even if the Republicans do win, if it's half of what it was back in the fall for both of these seats, you're going to have people screaming about how, oh my gosh, the Democrat enthusiasm is tremendous. No. You spent millions, you got your people to show up, but the reason they're spending these millions of dollars is to try to change the narrative. Because right now, their own political party, based on the polling, is highly unpopular. But they're running against Trump and against Elon and against Doge and everything else. So they're not even running for something. They're just running against something. Now, the party out of power traditionally will do that. But it's being done right now in these special elections more than it's been done in any recent memory. That's for darn sure. And then you go up to Wisconsin. So up in Wisconsin, there's this election taking place today for the Supreme Court. It is the most expensive, officially, the most expensive state Supreme Court case or Supreme Court seat and race in American history. Millions of dollars have been poured in to Wisconsin in the last few weeks over this Supreme Court race. And what you have going on there is basically the balance of the Supreme Court in Wisconsin at play here. If the Republican candidate wins, it's the status quo. If the Democratic candidate wins, that moves the Wisconsin Supreme Court to the left. The belief is they would redistrict, they would gerrymander the crap out of that state to the point where the state legislature, which right now is Republican, would look different. And more importantly, from our perspective here in Kansas City and elsewhere around the country, they could change the congressional districts to the point where the state of Wisconsin would have fewer members of Congress from the Republican Party than they currently have. And that would impact the 2026 midterms, and that obviously could impact who's in power in the House of Representatives. So that's why that is getting so much attention up in Wisconsin in that state Supreme Court race. The Trump-backed judge is a guy named Brad Schimmel, and the liberal circuit court judge is Susan Crawford. And they are battling to, right now, fill the vacated 7th seat on the state Supreme Court. And the polls are basically dead even. But this is an interesting problem right now for the Republican Party because as you've seen the parties change over the recent election cycles, Republicans have gotten more working class. They've brought far more diversity to the party. What that means right now is that they have a low propensity voter. They have millions of voters around the country, and you probably know them right here in the Kansas City area. They'll vote for Trump. They'll go vote for the presidential years, but they're not voting in special elections. They're not all that jazzed about midterms. They'll vote if Trump's on the ballot, but they're not going to vote otherwise. They're just not super engaged. They like Trump. He's kind of this phenomenon. He's obviously not a politician by trade. They love him, but they're not like, yeah, I got to get in line to go vote for the Wisconsin Supreme Court race on a Tuesday in April. That's not
got
anything.
A million reasons to do it, though.
Well, yes, that's true. Elon did give away a couple of $1 million the other night. That's a good point. But like, they're not people that are jazzed up about this stuff. So this is one of the. It's a good problem to have, I believe, in the long run, to have a party that is becoming more diverse, becoming more working class, going through different people of different backgrounds. I think that helps them, and in the long run hurts the Democratic Party. But in the short term right now, it may not work out great when it comes to results today. In Wisconsin in particular, Florida, less of an issue up there.
To your point, any blue dribble will be announced as a tsunami, though, tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's no doubt. If Democrats win this Wisconsin Supreme Court race and they only lose the Florida races by 10 points, MSNBC is going to have a party like they haven't had, since the Obama years. They're going to, because they are desperate for some good news right now, right? It's like you're a baseball team, you're on a 9-game losing streak, and you only lose your 10th game by 1 run in extra innings. You're like, hey, we got something to build off of here. All right, boys.
Making progress.
Tomorrow's a new day. Let's go. I mean, that's basically, they're just trying to build some momentum and change the narrative. That's what they're doing today, spending a lot of money to try to change the narrative. Now, locally, we do have just 3 super local things today to watch on the Kansas side of the state line. 3 mail-in ballots must be in a Johnson County drop box no later than noon today. Gardner Edgerton voting on a $100 million school bond that would fund a new elementary school, convert Sunflower Elementary into special needs, and replace and improve all the playgrounds, provide safety and security upgrades, and expand common spaces at the high school. In Lenexa, you're voting on a 3/8 cent sales tax extension that will fund trails, parks, road and maintenance, city centers, and more. And in Westwood, as we talked about yesterday, Joe D. Dennis Park is at the center of a controversial vote. The parcel of land at 50th and Rainbow Boulevard will become a new mixed-use workspace if the vote passes. If it does not pass, it will remain as is. That drop-off is noon today for those mail-in ballots. It's 6:15. It's great to have you here on KCMO Talk Radio. Is there a new development in the future of the stadiums in Kansas City? The Chiefs are talking. We'll tell you what they're saying next on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio. Do you know the Chiefs are looking to potentially get a new stadium? I know you had absolutely
talk about a bombshell.
No idea. Not a clue, right? Headline story last night in the Kansas City Star, Sam McDowell writing here, the Chiefs reveal timeline for stadium decision and potential for a Super Bowl in Kansas City. So the first part of that is what we all know. The deadline for the Royals and the deadline for the Chiefs is June 30th. Why? Well, after June 30th, this whole ridiculous border war comes to an end. That is when the Star Bond offer is rescinded on the Kansas side of the state line. That's when it's done. The Star Bond deal is on the table until June 30th. There is no evidence, and I've not heard anything that the state of Kansas is going to extend that offer beyond June 30th, and they should not extend the offer beyond June 30th. If the Kansas legislature extends the offer beyond June 30th, then they are even bigger suckers than I realized. They will literally just be basically trying to help the team use their state as potentially leverage against Missouri. That's it. You are officially the cuck. So right now, there's not evidence to suggest they're going to do that, and good thing that they're not. So Clark Hunt said yesterday in Palm Beach to the Kansas City Star, there's meetings down there, that their deadline is also going to be June 30th. And that's what John Sherman said about the Royals as well. So they've got their self-imposed deadlines, but think about this. If you're a Kansas lawmaker right now, realize what's happening here. You created for the teams an artificial deadline with your Star Bonds because they know that after June 30th, they can't try to get really anything out of the state of Missouri because they have no leverage. You gave them leverage against the state of Missouri. That's all you did. So, way to go. Slow clap.
There are some that would say that's a noble gesture, though.
Yeah, that's fine. And I would disagree with those people. But,
right. That's true.
But you're right about that. They're just trying to help do their part to keep the teams in the region. The teams never said they were leaving the region. They never insinuated they wanted to leave the region. But sure, go ahead. The Star writes here, the Chiefs are still exploring a renovated GEHA field at Arrowhead Stadium in Missouri or building a new stadium in Kansas. The latter would likely, though not certainly, include a dome. Okay, if you even think about Kansas and you don't have it domed, then you are really wasting your time. The only reason to go to Kansas is what was brought up here by Mark Donovan in this article, where he notes that, this opens up potentially things like Final Fours. This opens them up for Big 12 championships, more concerts, and yes, a Super Bowl. Now, I don't believe you build a new stadium for one event. I don't think you do that. If you think that Kansas City will be in the regular rotation of Super Bowls, well, I've got beachfront property in Salina to sell you. It's not going to happen. I promise you. They will get one in honor of Clark and, of course, the Hunt family and the new stadium. They will not be in the regular rotation for Super Bowls. Could you get a Big 12 football championship? Yeah, maybe. Although Jerry Jones might have something to say about that. That's where they have been playing the Big 12 football championship for the last 7-8 years since they brought it back in 2017. And I looked it up last night. That deal with Jerry World down in Arlington, Texas, goes through 2030 with the Big 12. So they may want to move that around too. But once again, I don't think you build a stadium for a maybe. Final Fours, same deal. They might get one. You're not going to be in the regular rotation. And concerts, I don't know. You're doing pretty well right now in the concert scene. And Kate actually texted me not last night. I was home last night during the day. We should try to go to some concerts at Arrowhead because we've never been to a concert at Arrowhead. And I said, well, there's no concerts the next couple of summers because they're prepping for the World Cup. So let's make a date for 2027.
Right. Yeah.
It was like, yeah, well, that's not happening the next 2 summers because of this overblown, overrated World Cup that's coming next summer when we're going to get like a couple of third world countries here. So that's all on the table right now. Now, what would happen if they would stay in Missouri at the Truman Sports Complex? This was really the only news item that came out of the whole piece, I would say. And the news item here and the official quote here that I thought was not shocking at all, but interesting from Mark Donovan, is that they are looking, if they stay where they're at, building up the Truman Sports Complex once the Royals leave. But he said here, you're not going to see Power and Light, but you could see other entities that would have some relevance to game day. Those entities, writes the Star, on which Donovan did not elaborate, would be active on non-game days as well, he said. Now, I was trying to think about what they could possibly put there that would be a draw for people on non-game days or non-event days. I don't know what that could possibly be. I mean, you want to talk about a place that is ripe for riffraff on non-game days? That is it right there. I just don't know what kind of entertainment, unless you put a casino there or something.
Yeah, or a sports book maybe.
A sports book maybe that would draw people to that location on a non-event day. If it's a sports book, that's great. You got to do it up well. And by the way, no one's coming in the complex without paying something. I'm telling you that right now. If you don't at least do that and protect what you've got at the sports complex, then, you know, it's going to be a tough sell for a lot of people. But something like that may work now that Missouri does have sports betting. But outside of that, I mean, you know, just some kind of Power and Light, next place to hang out and drink and listen to music, that's really not something that the community needs right now. Heck, Power and Light's still losing millions of dollars a year. So those are the two options. We've known that those are the two options. Do they go out basically to the Legends, start new, put a dome on it, try to get Final Fours and Super Bowls, or do they stay where they're at? And the other piece, state money will be involved on either side of state line. And if they stay where they're at, the Chiefs could end up going back to you, the voter, exclusively, not with the Royals, coming up in the fall. That is on the table as well. One more time, Pam Bondi. Give me one more. File those charges here in Kansas City. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Woo! Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, made it very clear she is not screwing around with these individuals who are committing acts of domestic terrorism at Tesla dealerships around the country. Pam Bondi announced yesterday that they are seeking, the Department of Justice is seeking a 20-year prison sentence for the alleged Tesla dealership bomber in Colorado. Cooper Joe Frederick, 24, allegedly firebombed a Tesla dealership in Colorado earlier this month. He's a resident of Fort Collins, Colorado. He allegedly ignited a device, hurled it at the dealership, narrowly missing several parked cars. The device landed between two vehicles and caused a fire, according to Loveland Police. He was arrested in Plano, Texas, on suspicion of attacking a Tesla dealership back on March 7th in Loveland, Colorado. Now, it was 2 weeks ago this morning we woke up to the news here in Kansas City that two Cybertrucks were on fire on State Line Road at that dealership. We do not have any updates as of this morning from the FBI, the ATF, and KCPD, who are investigating that, what they call suspicious fire. We do know there's a video of somebody running across State Line Road that night as the fire was starting to take off, a random driver was passing the dealership, took out his phone, and there's video of what appears to be a young woman running across the street from the Missouri side to the Kansas side as the fire is starting to get underway at that Tesla dealership. And that's why the FBI, ATF, and KCPD were all over that neighborhood right across from the dealership on State Line Road over the last couple of weeks, but no charges have been filed. But Pam Bondi sent a very clear message to Tesla vandals who are not just here in Kansas City, but also in the Denver area. We know that they have also been in Las Vegas and in other parts of the country.
I've made it clear, if you take part in the wave of domestic terrorism against Tesla properties, we will find you, arrest you, and put you behind bars. Today, I'm proud to announce that the Department of Justice has unsealed federal charges against another Tesla attacker. We've charged Cooper Frederick in the firebombing of a Tesla dealership that occurred on March 7th in Loveland, Colorado. All of these cases are a serious threat to public safety. Therefore, there will be no negotiating. We are seeking 20 years in prison. The crime was committed in Colorado, and thanks to the great investigative work by the FBI, the defendant was arrested in Plano, Texas. Let this be a warning. You can run, but you cannot hide. Justice is coming.
That's right.
Show some RESPICT.
You love it from Pam Bondi, the Attorney General. See, this is not about Tesla. I don't own a Tesla. I don't plan to own a Tesla. Many of us kind of mocked the EV craze over the last few years. I'm not going to sit here and change my tune just because I like what Elon is doing with Doge. But clearly he's built a great company, and it also is very clear that this is domestic terrorism. People are protesting in front of these dealerships like 5 miles from where we're at here in Corporate Woods. They're doing it around the country. In some cases, yes, they are lighting Cybertrucks and Teslas on fire because they don't like Elon and they don't like Doge. And Pam Bondi saying, you know what? You do this, there's no slap on the wrist. They're going for 2 decades in prison for this punk who they arrested in Texas yesterday.
I'd like to refine the point, though. I think any conservative or Republican opposition to electric vehicles was more about it being a mandate with no potential, infrastructure set up to support the mandate.
That's true. Yeah,
right?
That's fair. Yes.
I drive an electric car if I can charge it up in 10 minutes in my garage.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Or 10 cents, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of that when it came to the blowback. The mandates, the demands that if you don't drive one, you're not sufficiently woke. Mm-hmm. And I'm not interested in sitting there.
We might have laughed at a Prius.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
a Tesla.
I was going to say, please, we'll keep laughing at Priuses all day here on KCMO. Gladly laugh at the Prius. But to your point, John, yes, it always was about how it wasn't exactly a vehicle that was convenient for a lot of people outside of major American cities who were toting around a couple miles a day, if that. But now, with the ATF, the FBI coming after these individuals, I don't think it's going to be long before we get this person here in Kansas City. But we haven't had an update in about a week. That was the last time we had some kind of update, and even that wasn't much of an update. The update from last Tuesday from the FBI's Kansas City field office was that there was no additional information to release or comments on the investigation at this time. Now, I'm not expecting the Kansas City FBI to go out there and start telling us, yeah, we think we're close, but I will reach out to them today and see if I can get anything out of this investigation. Because if they're not close, they've got a video of somebody running across the street. Unless that was just a coincidence and that person had nothing to do with this, I've got to imagine you're on the right track. And you have a citizen with a video. That's a heck of a start. And the FBI and the ATF, they don't screw around. 913-408-7957 is our studio line and our text line on KCMO Talk Radio. Let's go to Kevin. He's in Overland Park. Kevin, you're on KCMO. Go ahead.
Hey, Pete. I was just going to share. I recently had a
conversations with two Democratic friends in recent days about all this stuff going on, both of which brought up, well, what about all this stuff with Teslas and Elon Musk and so on? And as I'm in the conversation, I'm telling them, I'm fine with the First Amendment. I'm fine with, protest, if you're getting something, whatever. But once you set someone else's property on fire or something of that sort, you've crossed the line. It's no longer First Amendment. You've broken laws. You've committed felonies. And both of these guys, neither are radical left-wing, Democrats. It took all they could to finally agree that, yes, you're right. That they did break laws. It's like, oh my gosh, how does someone with at least seems to be half a brain wrestle with something like that? It's crazy how.
Listen, you don't have. Yes, you can protest. You're right, Kevin. You have a
Absolutely.
First Amendment right to do what you want to do. You don't have a right to go to a Tesla dealer and harass the customers because they drive a car you don't like.
Exactly, and I think if the situation was reversed, if I felt like I needed to protest, okay, I'll protest. But I'm not about to set fire or demolish or damage or, get in someone's face or whatever. I'm not going to protest to the point of breaking laws. And it's like, how is it these people, all of a sudden, the area between right and wrong gets all gray and fuzzy for them?
Yep. And ask yourself this too. Why is it,
that?
Kevin, that here in Kansas City, Emmanuel Cleaver and Sharice Davids have not made a peep about individuals taking things as far as they've taken things at these Tesla dealerships?
I thought that same thing. It's like no officials are making any statements about it or nothing.
You've got a small private operation, basically. I mean, I know Tesla owns the dealership, but still, you've got regular folks working at that dealership who are now under attack on a regular basis. And where's their mayor? Where's their city councilman? Where's their congressman to stand up for them?
I know someone who's a service advisor at a Tesla dealer, and it sucks. They're just people. They're just people like us.
Yeah.
They go to work every day. They got, kids or whatever, and, they're just paying bills and living life. And, they're complete victims. And, they're left-leaning, but they're getting eaten by their own people.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy.
How is it they can take people that I feel are centered in life as far as the difference between right and wrong, and they wrestle with agreeing with something being wrong, that is truly wrong? I mean, it's like we can agree to disagree about how you feel about Elon Musk. I feel differently than you do. I mean, one of them thought Elon Musk was an effing idiot, and I was like, I disagree,
Yeah,
I said,
you're right.
He still committed felonies, and my friend just stood there and was like, he wrestled to say, yeah, you're right on that one. But it finally took him. He was like, yeah, I see that. It's like, you can't say it. You can't say that burning cars that don't belong to you is wrong.
It's not difficult. It's just not difficult. Kevin, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. It's like, you've got to be kidding me with this. Got to be kidding me. You can not like Doge all you want. But as Kevin said, he's got buddies who are working at the service desk at Tesla dealers. What did they do to deserve any of this? And as he said, they lean the other way, and it doesn't matter to me. They're innocent bystanders in this whole game that's being played, and that's what it is. It's a game. It's a game of fear-mongering to try to basically pressure Elon at the grassroots level to stop doing what he's doing. That's it. So Trump signs a new executive order yesterday with Kid Rock. I don't even know what he was wearing. It was like a jacket, suit. I don't know. It wasn't a suit because it was a jacket with pants that had the American flag plastered all over it. He looked just kind of goofy, but he looked like Kid Rock, right? I guess those two things are hand in hand. And Kid Rock was in the Oval Office yesterday as Donald Trump signed an executive order to protect Americans from exploitive ticket scalping in concerts and sporting events. Now, this is admirable. It's still unclear to me how they're going to go about doing this, but it's admirable. And Kid Rock was there in the Oval Office yesterday looking goofy as ever, talking about this.
Like anyone who's bought a concert ticket in the last decade, maybe 20 years, no matter what your politics are, knows that it's a conundrum. You buy a ticket for $100, by the time you check out, it's $170. You don't know what you're getting charged for, but more importantly, these bots. You know, they come in to get all the good tickets to your favorite shows you want to go to, and then they're relisted immediately for sometimes a 400 or 500% markup. And the artists don't see any of that money. And, you know, ultimately, I think this is a great first step. I would love down the road if there would be some legislation that we could actually put a cap on the resale of tickets. And I'm a capitalist and a deregulation guy, but they've tried this in some places in Europe, and it seems to be the only thing that's us as artists be able to get the tickets into the hands of the fans at the prices we set. I'll be the first one to say, and I know the president doesn't like when I say this, but I'm a little overpaid right now. It's kind of ridiculous. I would rather be, you know, a hero to working class people and have them be able to come attend my shows and give them a fair ticket price. I can't control that right now, so hopefully this is a step to really be able to make that happen. You know, a lot of artists and a lot of fans who love concerts and music are going to be very appreciative.
Well, it's nice of Kid Rock to say he's overpaid. I don't know. Is he overpaid? How much would you pay to see Kid Rock? I might pay $7, give or take.
I'm sure he's overpaid.
I'm just like, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sitting here thinking to myself, I got to go to the next Kid Rock concert. It's kind of like Tesla. I like what Elon Musk is doing. I'm not buying a Cybertruck even if I could afford it at $100,000+. Just ridiculous for what that car is. Same thing with Kid Rock. I mean, I appreciate his politics, but I don't like his music. I'm not paying. I mean, Kid Rock, remember him at the RNC over the summer? I'm like, what is this? This is terrible. So I appreciate what he's doing, but I'm not sure Kid Rock's overpaid, but maybe a lot of people are paying a lot of money to go see Kid Rock. That's the only conclusion I can come to here. So this executive order also ensures price transparency at all stages of the ticket purchasing process, including through the secondary ticketing market. The president's order directs the Attorney General and the Treasury Secretary to ensure that ticket scalpers are operating in full compliance with the Internal Revenue Code and other laws. Under the order, the Treasury Department, DOJ, and FTC will deliver a report within 180 days summarizing the actions taken to address the issue of unfair practices in live concert and entertainment industry, and will recommend additional regulations or legislation needed to protect consumers. So part of the problem over the last, really since COVID too, has been artists and their management teams realized that they were selling tickets for X and scalpers were buying them up at X and they were doing X times 2 or X times 3. So in many cases now what you saw is the artist said, you know what, I'll just charge X times 2 or X times 3. I'll get mine. The scalpers will be less incentivized because they can't make as much profit. And hopefully it will just be the regular folks who are going out there and buying the tickets. The problem is that people have been priced out. The other issue is, I get this for the artists, there's no money in streaming. No one does albums anymore, so they've got to make all their money on the road. That's the other issue for them. But you have seen a softening in that industry by and large, because for a lot of people, they've just like looked at it and said, when it comes to my discretionary income, I just can't afford paying hundreds of dollars for one ticket to one show in this climate, in this economy right now. So you have seen a bit of a pullback, which could mean the free market is actually taking care of itself. That was such a great conversation with Dave Trauber at Kansas Policy Institute on how the Kansas Department of Education, or there's a push for the state school board to basically change how they identify a student as being proficient. That could happen as early as next week. And right now, what he is suggesting and asking is that you go to ksde.gov/board. That's the Kansas State Department of Education, and reach out to your state school board member and tell them this is a bad idea. Mike is a teacher. He is checking in from Olathe. Go ahead, Mike. You're on KCMO.
Hey, dude, I just was, after, I taught in 1985 at Derby, and then I went to Topeka in 2020 and taught for a few years, couple years there and at one of the high schools, and I was not allowed to check out if I had an F on any of my grade books. I could not fail a kid. I had to change the grade, or I could not sign my checkout paper. Now, where I'm at in southern Johnson County now, it's not quite that bad. But they really, really, really don't want Fs. They want nobody on a fail list, and it's sort of just the whole dynamic of education has changed because kids can't spell, they can't have sentence structure, they don't know how to capitalize. So, I mean, this is my last year. I really am done with this because there's so many things like you're describing that you can't avoid. And, dude, it just is frustrating as all get out. But, no, and when I was in Topeka, I was not allowed to – if I had an F, they would not sign my checkout paperwork. So I was I had to make sure my grades were above. And they didn't have Ds either. So they eliminated the D in Topeka. So it was A, B, C, F, and you couldn't have an F. So a kid that was getting a C might be getting a 22%. You just didn't know. But that was what the camouflage deal was. That's how they did it.
Man.
You
wonder how we got here.
Yeah. When I left Derby in 85, I think we were like 5th or 4th in the world, and now we're like 24th. That may be hyperbole. We may be worse than that. I don't know. I don't pay attention to that, but I just know it's definitely not. It's not the same, man, at all. It's not good.
It's not good. Yet we are spending more money than ever, and basically, as Dave Traubert puts it, it's become a systems first business, not a
100%.
students first business.
Yeah, and we're way top heavy, man. We got administrators in districts. That's another conversation. But yeah, it's not good.
So top heavy. It's a jobs program. I mean, it's terrible to say, and I don't want to say it, but I also want to make it clear, Mike. It's not in any way a criticism of you as a teacher or your fellow teachers who I would say overwhelmingly want to do right by their students and got into the business for the right reasons. But the administration is so bloated. But I also sit there and I say to myself, you know what? We're encouraging a system where if you want to make more money, you've got to get into the administration, right? And that's not a winning formula.
No, and in all fairness to them, while there is that administrators are pushing it, it's coming from even above them. So it's like it's a squeeze play on them, which comes down to the teachers, which comes down to, you're right. There are a lot of really good teachers. There's some that aren't so good. We know that.
Of course. I mean, every industry.
But in all fairness, there's a squeeze play for administrators that puts pressure on them, and they're trying to contort their body and their way so that and say it in a way that makes it positive, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not positive. Yeah.
All right. God bless you, Mike. Thanks for all your teaching over the years.
I'll see you, man.
All right. See you later. That's it right there. I mean, it is in no way an indictment of teachers across the board in Kansas or in Missouri. But you look at the growth in the administration in schools all over the country, I mean, it's astronomical. And every single time, they're looking for more property tax dollars for a system that is not working for the students and isn't really taking care of the teachers either. That's the other thing. I mean, you look at the teacher pay, it's not great. But then you've got, administrator after administrator clearing six figures, and you're saying to yourself, this system is beyond broken. And, the voter can change it, but also, man, I would love to see an uprising from the teachers at the teachers' ranks where they say, I know we have to be all for one for all with these unions, but you guys are screwing us here in a big way.
Didn't we do a feature about top employees paid in Kansas? Maybe public employees was the deal, and they were high, like out of the 10, maybe 6 were administrators, something like that.
Yeah.
I think we had a story like that.
Yeah. I mean, you look a lot of these superintendents clearing $250,000. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of money there. Wow. Charlie Gasparino will be here in 10 minutes. I leave you with this hour. Donald Trump was asked yesterday about his former daughter-in-law, Vanessa Trump, ex-wife of Don Jr., getting together with Tiger Woods. And he responded in a way that I didn't think he would respond. He almost sounded saddened by the fact that his son got divorced, but also didn't want to rag on Tiger. But it was very introspective from Donald Trump in a way that we usually don't hear. Take a listen.
What is your thought about Tiger Woods now becoming part of the broader Trump family?
Well, I love Tiger, and I love Vanessa, and they had a great relationship. I happen to think the relationship with my son, I happen to think the relationship was hurt very badly by the witch hunt that went on, Russia, and all the crap that they put Don through, who knew nothing about it. But Vanessa and Don had a very good relationship. They have incredible children, 5 incredible children, all good athletes, all great students. They're like great. And they broke up, quite a while ago, and which was to me very sad because I think they're both great. Don and Vanessa, and Tiger actually called me a few months ago, and you have a very special, very good relationship with Tiger. I played golf with him a couple of times over the last month, and he's a fantastic guy and a fantastic athlete. And he told me about it, and I said, Tiger, that's good. That's good. I'm very happy for both. I just let them both be happy. Let them both be happy. They're both great.
Notice what he led with there. He led with basically his disappointment as a father that his son got divorced. He didn't rag on Vanessa, who, of course, is the mother of 5 of his grandchildren. He talked about how really it saddened him, and he thought, I guess, the stress, the pressure of all the, witch hunt, as he called it, nonsense during the first administration somehow resulted in that marriage falling apart. That's telling to me. And Trump's also probably upset he's got to deal with Kimberly Guilfoyle now. I mean, that's unfortunate for everybody. So Clark Hunt gave a comment and statement yesterday on President Trump's White House invite for the 2019 team that, of course, did not get to go to the White House after they won the Super Bowl because of COVID. And Clark Hunt gave the following statement, and what it sounds like to me is a guy who doesn't actually want to go through the logistical nightmare of doing this, but also wants to be respectful of President Trump. He says here, we're honored that the president would think about us going back to the 2019 season when we did not get to go to the White House. We certainly would like to try to figure out how to make that happen. There are obviously some additional logistical challenges that we would face, given that we only have 6 players from that roster that are still on the team. We're working through those details with the White House. Hopefully, we'll be able to make it work. It was completely unexpected, and it was very, very thoughtful of him.
Such a nice man.
Well, that's very nice. It's Clark Hunt's kind of like the girl who gets asked out by the nice guy.
Oh, got let down easy.
Who doesn't want to really, shut him down. That's what this feels like. Oh,
Clark just friend-zoned the president, right?
That's exactly what he did. Because he's like, oh, it's so thoughtful. It's so nice. It's a great idea. But, man, it's just a logistical nightmare to try to make this work. And I don't blame him for feeling that way. Listen, Clark Hunt can meet with Donald Trump whenever he wants, right? Billions of dollars, mega donor. But what he's got to think about, and the reason I think he's got to make this work, is for that entire roster and those guys who didn't get a chance at a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The third-string linebackers, the guys who will never step foot in the White House if not for this opportunity that Tony Fauci and so many others took away from them by how they played COVID-19. That's what's got to be thought about here. And that's where I hope that Clark Hunt can make this work. Even if he says to these guys, listen, you got to buy your own plane ticket. From there, we got you covered. All right? If you can get yourself to Washington, D.C. on this day, we'd love to have you. We'll take care of the rest. But that's where I do think you do the right thing. And you make it about, hey, this team that, let's be honest, did kick off this incredible run, did not get this moment, did not get this opportunity. And they're worthy of having the opportunity. I could only find 4 guys that were on the roster or still are on the roster: Mahomes, Kelsey, Butker, and Winchester. But I guess there's 2 more. I just couldn't figure out who it was.
I've got it here in front of me. I'm looking, but I don't see.
Nothing's sticking out. So we'll have to figure that out this morning.
Yeah, the secondary, Bashad Breeland and Rashad Fenton. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, exactly. We could have
The
that
Doctor,
conversation forever.
Laurent Duvernay Tardif would be one, yeah.
Yep, exactly. A shout out to our buddy Jasper Mirable. 71 years today for Jasper's Restaurant in Kansas City. Of course, the second longest partner we have here on KCMO Talk Radio, doing his weekend show at 11 on Saturdays for 19 years now. And congratulations, 71 years for Jasper's. I may just have to try to run down and grab a sandwich today from Marco Polo Deli. Congrats. Meantime, Tiger Woods playing an April Fool's joke, putting up on X, I can't believe I'm saying this, but a few weeks after rupturing my left Achilles, the sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber plus the explosive lifts my doctors and trainers have put me through has me ready to play in the Masters next week. I can't wait. See y'all on the course. And then he reshared that post on X, and he writes, P.S. April Fools, my Achilles is still a mess. But here's the thing. The first response to Tiger Woods from the original post came from Jason Whitlock, and he writes, amazing. Good luck, Tiger. No, he didn't. No. No, Whitlock, what? How could somebody so smart be so dumb? What do you do? Well, I guess I didn't mean to ask
That's
that
rhetorical?
question. I
Yeah,
know.
right.
Yes, it was. But come on, Jason. You don't blow out your Achilles and then, like, less than a month later be like, I'm playing in the Masters next week.
Yeah, super glue.
Have you checked the calendar, Jason? I thought he stopped drinking years ago. What are you doing, man? I mean, come on. Jason Whitlock knows better. I guess he was blinded by that peanut butter skin. Remember that with Joy Taylor?
Oh, yeah, he loves him some Joy Taylor.
He loves him.
Doesn't want to admit it, but he does.
He loves him some Joy Taylor over at Fox. He loves that peanut butter skin, as he put it. But I don't know. Maybe he was just had a long night with the peanut butter skin, and he didn't realize today was April Fool's. But Tiger Woods is not coming back from a blown out Achilles at, 50 years old, a week before the Masters when he blew it out a month ago. Come on, Jason. You got to do better than that, buddy. You know better than that. In the meantime, there are 3 elections today in Johnson County that I did want to make sure that you are aware of. They're all mail-in ballot elections. You've got a sales tax extension in Lenexa, 3/8 of a cent, funding Trails Park road maintenance and more. That would renew in October of 28. Gardner Edgerton voting on a $100 or $100 million school bond that would fund a new elementary school and upgrades to Sunflower Elementary. And then in Westwood, Joe D. Dennis Park, center of a controversial vote, small parcel of land, 50th and Rainbow, will become a new mixed-use workspace if the vote passes. If it doesn't pass, the park remains as is. And here's the thing. You have to get those to a drop box in Johnson County by noon today. Or you can bring it directly to the county election office. I would do that by noon. You got 3 hours to figure it out. But I would do that by noon today to make sure that your vote is going to count. My prediction, my guess, Lenexa sales tax extension passes. Gardner Edgerton school bond passes. And the one in Westwood, small number of people, only got 1,700 residents, good grassroots effort against it. That one's a coin flip.